Welcome to the smartest people in the room. We are glad you are here, and just by showing up, you are already demonstrating your very own smarts. Today, I am pleased to present two women who are in the business of helping others improve their lives and careers. They also happen to be two of the most positive and uplifting people I've ever met, and I promise you will leave here smarter, more enlightened, and more positive than you arrived today. Before we get started, please let me take care of some business. First, to the audience, please feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat window. The reason we do these webinars is twofold. First, we want to showcase really smart people and the amazing work they do day to day in the music industry. The second reason is a bit more nuanced. Many of you know that I'm a music industry headhunter. I run the music practice at Turnkey ZRG, and I place music executives in roles throughout the industry. So by definition and function, I help people connect with companies. In this series, my goal is to help you make more connections, and I invite you to take full advantage of that opportunity. Specifically, I invite you to engage with the speakers and the other attendees in the chat of the Zoom. Please introduce yourselves, share your LinkedIn profile, say hello to your friends, and make some new ones. And also ask questions of our speakers. Also, this is important. Please make sure your chat is set to address everyone, not just the host and speakers. I want to thank our program sponsors, for without their support, we could not continue to do this for free. Special thanks to Turnkey ZRG, the Tennessee Entertainment Commission, Tennessee Brew Works, and my favorite industry podcast, Unlimited Supply. Also want to thank MedJet. If you travel a lot, you should consider MedJet. This is an international medical transport and security response membership service. I joined, and you should consider it too. So let's get down to business. In today's first seat, we welcome Ariel Hyatt. Since the dawn of digital music, sounds like a long time ago, Ariel. Ariel has guided thousands of artists across genres to navigate the ever-changing music industry with ease. Combining her passion, teaching skills, and knack for simplifying complexity, she helps musicians build systems that empower their careers. A sought-after speaker, author of 6 acclaimed books, including From Buzz to Bond and The Ultimate Guide to Music Publicity, Ariel's expertise extends worldwide with appearances at 70-plus conferences in 13 countries. She leads cyber PR, specializing in long-term strategy plans for artists. Based in Manhattan, Ariel proudly serves on Women in Music and Sweet Relief boards and is a leadership music alumnus. Welcome, Ariel. It is an honor to have you with us today.
Thank you, Tom.
And joining Ariel is Marni Wandner. She's an executive coach, performance coach, board certified wellness coach, and strategist helping passion-driven professionals get out of survival mode, thrive under pressure, and build sustainable careers doing what they love. Drawing on over 2 decades in the music industry as an executive and entrepreneur, from her start in artist management to launching and running marketing agency called Sneak Attack Media, which was later acquired by the Syndicate, Marni brings a rare cross-disciplinary perspective to her work. Her approach combines coaching psychology, applied neuroscience, integrative health, and nervous system regulation with creative strategy and a framework called the 5 archetypes that helps clients break through the patterns that keep them stuck. As the founder of consultancy Future Present, Marni works with individuals and organizations on everything from stress, burnout, and mental blocks to time management, communication, business building, and career transitions. It is my honor to welcome these 2 rock stars to our platform today. Take it away, ladies.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Tom.
Tom.
Hi, Marni.
Hi, it's so good to see you.
It's so good to
It's so
see you
good to see
too.
you. I was thinking about the last time we saw each other in real life, and we are so close, yet so far.
For those of you that live in New York City or LA, and I wonder if Nashville is the same, so close, but yet I'm on the Upper West Side, Marni's in Brooklyn. That's a full hour on the subway. So
It's a long distance relationship.
it's a little bit of a long distance relationship.
It is. And it's so good to see all of these, I was going to say faces in the chat, the names. I'm seeing your faces in the names. And I feel like what was that show when we were younger? It was like I see so and so.
The
What
Magic
was
Garden. The Magic
yeah,
Garden.
the mirror, what yeah,
I
the
see
gar yeah.
Eric and
Yes.
Corey and
Hi, Eric.
Richard.
And I Judan and Rachel and Sky and Angela. Welcome. I'm so glad to see everybody here and all these new faces. I hope that
Or was it
everyone is
Romper Room? I don't
was
know.
it Romper Room?
I
If
don't
anybody
know.
Romper Room.
It was
Did
Romper
someone said
Room.
Romper Room? That might have been it. Thank you. Um, thank you. So yeah, so we're all together and please, as Tom was saying, feel free to, pop stuff into the chat, ask us questions. But yes, I'm so happy to be here with you. Um, what is going on with you? What's going on?
It's been a whirlwind of a start to the year. I hit the ground running and did a massive webinar launch, which turned into a shit show because of all the tech and struggling with the tech. But we had 110 people with disc makers yesterday, and I ran the From Buzz to Bond webinar, and it went really well. So I'm feeling really good. And I know you're just back from Folk Alliance, where you've been mentoring and talking to people. So we both started
Yeah.
we both started the room in service to and connecting with a lot of people, which is exciting.
Yeah, it does. Yes. Yeah, I love that. And it's true. It's like this, everyone that I've talked to that has been like this year kicked off like, you know, gangbusters, like just whoa, okay, we're going. And yeah, it's been a lot of for both of us, like a people influx, which is my favorite. I love that. And I also need to recover from it, which is something we could talk about that as a five archetypes thing. But the idea of having been spent last week with people I know, people I hadn't ever met in person, people but knew from the internet, people that seeing clients that I usually only see online. Um, it was such a great it was such a great week. I was in Nashville and I left Nashville just before the storm. I was telling Tom, everyone was like, you got to get out of here. And I did. I went to New Orleans for Folk Alliance. But when I was in Nashville, I saw Rachel because Rachel and I just joined the board of Echo Live. And we had a board meeting and it was great to see Rachel. And I'm honored to be on this board of Echo Live. If you don't know, check it out, ECCHO Live. And Echo Live supports live and touring individuals in a lot of different ways. It's an incredible organization. So I got to, thank you, Rachel. I got to meet the other board members and had a bunch of meetings in Nashville, which is so great. And then I went to New Orleans for Folk Alliance and did some one-on-one coaching, did a group coaching session with 30 people. You never know how many people are going to show up to that kind of thing. And it's really great to see that happen. And then we did a panel on health insurance for musicians, which was really incredible. And I was joking. I was like, I can't even imagine having pitched this idea 5 years ago to a music conference of, hey, look, can I do a panel on health insurance for musicians? And yet, like now it's the sexiest thing to talk about.
Yeah, yeah, and so necessary. And I think that is a good segue to what you and I decided we wanted to talk about as the core theme of this conversation, which is we really wanted this discussion to center around self-care as the foundation for career success, which if those of you have spent any time with me, you know that I'm in marketing and PR, and you know that Marni used to be in that world and has now switched over. But I do think that, and we both agreed when we were prepping for today and sort of talking about like what would we want people to walk away with, is that self-care in a world that can feel chaotic and overwhelming, and we have a real reason why we think we both agreed that it feels overwhelming, is the grounding point and is the key. And self-care can be connecting with other people. Self-care can be, I think think oftentimes when we think about the term self-care, like we think about bubble baths or
Right. And like a massage or going
yeah,
to a
and getting
spa.
massages.
It
Um,
feels like something that's a luxury, but really it's the foundation of how we exist.
yeah. And I think also self-care has also to do with knowing your limits and knowing when I've done enough today. I need to stop. I need to drink water. I need to go out to a movie. I need to do something, not grind. Because
Right.
the thing that's become so also prevalent, I think, for all of us, no matter what you do or where you do it within our industry, is there is this always on problem of like your phone binging and beeping and messages and never sort of getting a break. But we were talking about sort of this modern challenge of like, how do we arrive at a place where we desperately need to think about self-care and at least self-protection? Um,
Mm.
a great teacher taught me if you're ever feeling like overwhelmed and you need protection, if someone's like coming at you or if it just feels overwhelming, putting your hand like over your heart while you're
Hmm.
responding is like basically telling people like, nope, nope, you can't
Yeah.
come in here. So that kind of protection. But Marnie and I were thinking about and trying to identify like what is it? And we identified this giant challenge that we all have, which is the 24/7 news cycle. And the world has become so tuned into this 24/7 news cycle. We're all experiencing weather right now. This very cold storm just ripped through half of our nation. And so if you watch the news, the big news cycle is like we're freezing and the power's off. And I know it's real for you in Nashville, and I don't mean to make light of a dire situation, but it is interesting that all news becomes dire. In the summer, it's too
Mm.
hot, or there's going to be
Right.
a flood, or there's going to be a windstorm. And I'm only talking about weather. Imagine when you add all the other very real things on top of it. And so I think
Right.
we just turning on your phone and seeing news feeds or seeing even music industry news feeds can make us all feel on edge.
Mhm. Yeah, there's so, I mean, and just the nature of social media too. I mean, it's, that's something, it's funny because both of us, obviously, you run a digital agency. I used to run a digital agency, and I was speaking at NYU last night in an artist management class. And for the, I don't know, maybe the first time I realized, I don't, maybe it couldn't have been the first time I realized this, but when I started as an artist manager, which is the first thing I did, we didn't have social media, really. Like the artists didn't have to do it, managers didn't have to think about it, right? There were other things, but there's the social media piece, there's the news piece, there's the computer in our pocket piece, there's the always on, you can be accessible at any time. And then there's the music industry piece, which is an always on industry. And really, what it comes down to is us, and to go back to what you were saying about protection, is us trusting ourselves and knowing when and how we need to protect ourselves. We're the ones that can say, like, I haven't had my notifications on my phone in probably 8 years, but like some people are like, how can you do that? And I've taught so many people, managers. I work with a lot of artist managers. I've taught a lot of people how to selectively let some sounds through and some not. Because we cannot have the bing bong da 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 and have some kind of semblance of a peaceful existence. Not to mention that some of those bing bongs are bringing pretty dramatic news, whether it's weather or something else. So it's our job, I really feel, as human beings, to protect our energy. I talk about energy management a lot because I think stress management, time management all stems from how we're managing our energy and how much we let in. And if we're letting everything in, if there's no filter there, that's a lot. And all of us are different. We have different tolerances for all kinds of different things. um, I have a whole thing I like to talk about with the ledge of tolerance, where the closer you get to the edge and then you fall off. But we all have a different ledge. We all can tolerate a different level and amount of different things, whether it's people, other people's energy, bullshit, noise, sound, light, whatever it is. And
Yeah.
so the more we know about our own tolerance, the more we can go, you know what, like you said, that's enough for now, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that conversation, as it also shifts into the bad news machine that we're carrying around everywhere, and also this idea that in our industry, being adaptive is also such a huge part of survival. So I've I'm turning 30. My agency is turning 30 this year, and that doesn't count the year that I was a concert promoter and the year that I worked at the record labels, before I even started my own agency at such a young age. But I think for all of us, this adaptive, multi-hyphenate requirement is like, if you want to be in music now, it's not even a pivot anymore. It's like you're constantly having to shift
Yeah.
and adapt and learn the learning curve on all of the apps. Like, just to run any kind of marketing agency, my team and I are constantly like, oh, hashtags are not in anymore. Oh, this is not a thing now. Oh, we have to, we're constantly looking at this in marketing. And I think this also can contribute to feeling in a constant fight or flight. Like, the minute you think like, oh, okay, I got this, I'm doing this thing, something shifts.
Yeah, exactly. And if we're going to try to stay in the old way, there's going to be a gap of comfort, right? We're going to be kind of trying to keep something that used to be or resist what's coming. If we're resisting the learning, if we're resisting the adaptability, it's discomfort for us because there's a dissonance in what we're or the reality that we're living in and what we want it to be. So there's so much. I mean, in all industries, of course, and in this world that we're living in now, this modern world, but in the music industry specifically, there is just so much on a daily basis to learn, to pivot to adapt to add to your skill set. I mean, the amount of things that you need to do now as not just as an artist, of course, things that you never had to do in the olden days, right? But as a business owner, same kind of deal. But also even just as an executive, somebody that works in the industry, there's just different expectations. There's different things to learn. It's constant, and so. I mean, we obviously say, the only constant is change, but the faster that we can really like almost enjoy the change and embrace the change and expect the change,
Yeah.
the more, I don't know if comfortable is the word, but the less we'll be fighting upstream.
Yeah. Speaking of fighting upstream, what keeps you up at night, Marn, when you think about your clients, your business, surviving in this new fandangled world? I'm really curious.
Yeah, I really think that it's the thing that got me into the work I'm doing now, which is burnout, but really more the kind of slippery slope into burnout
Mm,
and the not knowing that we're in it until it's too late. So that keeps me up in terms of thinking about I mean, not much keeps me up because I can't recommend magnesium by listening more, but talk to me if you have questions. But yeah, when I'm kind of like in the thinky place, and I think a lot about kind of wanting to help people understand where they are and where they're going and kind of recognize what's going on inside themselves. That's
yeah.
like the number one. If someone was like, what do you do? It's like, I help people understand themselves so that they don't get into trouble with themselves. And
Mm,
when I see people kind of spiraling or people that can't tear themselves away from the bad news machine or whatever it is, and they are making themselves sick, or they're making themselves sick because of a comparison or imposter syndrome or all of these beliefs that we carry with us, all these stories that we tell ourselves that are painful for our own existence. And there is a way out of that, and it's just
yeah.
seeing people kind of suffer and stay small or stay, not where they want to be, because of that is
Yeah.
something I think about a lot.
Yeah.
What about you?
It was the reason why I wrote From Buzz to Bond. So last year, I have a huge amount of phone calls with artists, managers, labels, people that want to potentially work with us. And I get on the calls and they usually fill out a form and they talk about why they're coming to me. And I say, okay, like, let's talk about what's working. And I just kept hearing the same thing over and over. And that thing was, I spent all this money on meta ads. I spent all this money on Spotify plays, or I'm working my Spotify and I have 1 million plays, but I can't put 35 people in my hometown, or I just dumped $10,000 into meta ads, but I don't have an email list. And I was like, oh my God, we are focusing on the wrong things. And I realized that this sort of new normal of everything is performative and it can potentially reach 1 million billion people. It sort of shifted our mindset so that we throw away the idea that connection is the only thing that
Yeah,
matters. And I wrote Buzz to Bond. And the reason why I did it was I wanted to like put words around buzz marketing and all this noise that everyone's making and this money that people are spending. And I'm not saying like don't ever do any of that and don't let your Spotify dwindle down to 12 plays a month. However, feeding those machines and then not filling your soul with the reason why we're all here in the first place, which is to connect. Music is a great healing balm and connector. And I mean, I've never met a musician that's like, oh, I make music because I want to hurt people. No, like we're doing it because we're driven to do it. And of course, some artists have a very serious mission driven, but you want it to be heard. That is the
hmm
goal. And this this sort of bar that got set that like it doesn't count unless it's heard by tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of people has really destroyed um, how how I think we can be effective in the world. And so I started turning to like, okay, bonding. What feels good when we bond? And then when Nicole Barcelona from Women in Music asked the executive board to come fly to Florida to be there for the annual WIM board meeting, I'm not on the active board, I'm on the executive board. That was like the exact kind of invitation that I thought, yes, like this getting in rooms with other women, hearing about, where do we all want to lift each other up? That's the kind of bonding that's like irreplaceable. And
yeah,
we've been working intimately with how can artists take their mindset away from buzz and put it on bond? And it's uncomfortable because you sometimes have to get real with the fact that you might only be able to put 35 butts in seats or fewer.
yeah.
And you have to get real with, oh boy, you let your email list go away because you've been so focused on TikTok trends or
hmm
something else. And so that was keeping me up. Is like, how can we all, none of us got into the music business to suffer. We all got into the music business because we love music. We love musicians. We love art. We can't imagine ourselves doing anything else. Like we don't
Yeah.
qualify as people in music. Like I don't qualify. I'm actually unemployable in any other domain because this is where my passion is. And I know that everyone that's listening in feels the same way, whether you're a performer or you're supporting artists in some form or fashion. So I think that is like a place where if you could focus in on where is the bond, and it
hmm
doesn't have to be big. Like we're encouraging our artists, like make a dinner party for 10
hmm
people. Go to a coffee shop if you don't have room in your house to put 10 people, but like
Yeah.
go micro and not macro. And focus on, you and I have worked with the same mentor in the music business, and Julie Flanders is her name, and she founded the band The October Project. And years ago, Julie said to me, stop focusing on all the stuff, like the speaking and the books and the talking and the traveling. And she's like, focus on how you feel. And that was like
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
revelatory.
Yeah. Because when we're rushing from one thing to another, which we so often are, and it feels good to do that. So many of us are like, "Oh, I'm so busy and I love it. I love it. I'm in this thing. I'm doing that thing. I'm traveling here. I'm going here. Blah blah. It's great." But when we don't stop and think about what we, how am I actually like making a connection with other human beings? Have I met someone new and didn't even like have a chance to follow up with them, or, continue that really juicy conversation that we were having that I want to continue, like, and then a year later it's like, oh yeah, that person, right? So like even stopping to just kind of like look back, even if it's your day, like I have clients where I'll encourage, obviously, everyone's different. And sometimes we need to, really record our achievements, like the thing, but achievements can be the smallest things in the world, right? I made my bed, I did my whatever, I made that phone call that
Yeah.
I didn't, wasn't, but also our connection. Like I have a little section of my, I don't know if anyone's ever seen that movie, Happy Thank You More Please. It's old at this point, and I talk
Yeah.
about it all the time. It's so old. It's so good, and I should really rewatch it because I talk about it all the time. I should make sure it's still good. But I have a little section of my to do list that I call Happy Thank You More Please, and it's just all the little cool things that happen that I'm like, oh yeah, I want to remember that, and I want to like hang on to it. And it's a lot of it is about connection. A lot of it comes back to just like something that feel like we are as humans wired to need connection literally to live. Like
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
human babies do not get touch, they will unfortunately not be great. Like,
Yeah.
it's we need to connect with other human beings, and we are in a world where we're constantly connecting with people on social
Yeah.
media and other
Yeah. But
emails,
then
blah blah.
we're in this world where like we're all experiencing this chronic issue, which is the loneliness epidemic. And so there's
Yep.
that to also like remember that people feel more lonely than ever before. And
Yep.
not and we're all attached to the bad news machine all day. And so there's that too. So we were
Yeah.
talking about like what's the antidote to that? And to me it's joy. Like joy is the antidote to that. Joy is a deep form of resistance for those of you that
Hmm.
feel the need to do a form of resistance right now. And I know I do every day when I look at the news. It's like, okay, what can my little act of joy be today? Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, I think about like the Grinch. I
yeah,
think about like, the no matter what is going on. I mean, there's so many things happening at all times, right? Like in small, big, everywhere. No matter what happens in the Grinch, right? Like he literally takes away Christmas and they're still singing and joyous, and it's like I always think about that moment of the film, because that is the greatest act of resistance, and that is the
yeah,
greatest way that we can like keep our, and that is they're literally holding hands and singing. Like what's more joyous than that, and this is what music is supposed to be as well. I mean, I was just last week at Folk Alliance, there was a panel. It was in New Orleans, and Anita Franco was on a panel, and she was talking about, I forgot where she was saying that she was, but she was somewhere, and there was just music everywhere, and there was singing everywhere, and people were just singing and playing music together, and it wasn't like we're playing a show for other people that are watching the show. It was just people playing music together everywhere, which is how
yeah.
music should be, and singing and dancing, and that's how we are supposed to exist. And obviously we don't, because of it's just not the way that but there's plenty of opportunities for it, and we work in an industry that's created by music, and we're still not doing that on a regular basis. So all that to say, you know, find the joy where you can, especially if it's music.
And make the joy. I mean, it's find the joy is one thing, but like we're at an inflection point now where I think we need to make the joy.
BYOJ.
Yeah, BYOJ. Yes. Yes. Um, so Marn, I know you're focused on coaching, creating coaching packages. Tell me a little bit about how you're structuring your new business. I'm really curious. I know you came to me months and months ago and said to me, I want to talk to you about what I'm doing because you recognize in me this talent of being able to sort of package up and commoditize something that can feel hard to do in music. And also this is another thing I do want to say about like all the things that we all have to do is we all have to wear all these different hats. Um, how are you structuring your business? Is it sort of a shapeshifter as you go along your way? What feels like it's working?
Yeah, that is something that's real in terms of just packaging up something intangible, you know?
Yeah.
Like whereas we've both always been in service-based businesses. I think it was a little bit easier to package up my I stuff about marketing. Like that was a little, okay, this is what we do. We do social media, we do, and people would still come and say they want digital marketing. And I'm like, well, what does that mean to you? Right. So that's, it like it could look a bunch of different ways. So it's the same kind of thing with what I'm doing now. And I think when we spoke about it, I was like, there's just like so many ways I could talk about it. And when people are like, what do you do? I was talking to another coach yesterday. I'm always curious to see how coaches describe what they do. Cause I'm always like, well, tell me who you are. And then I can describe better what I do, how you'll want to understand it. Right.
Yeah.
So, especially because I fuse together these two types of coaching, and that's, the training that I've gotten in terms of like health and wellness coaching and integrative wellness and professional development, right?
Mhm.
Executive coaching, performance
Yep.
coaching, being, you know, a lot of my clients, I can't legally say this. A lot of my clients say, they call it work therapy, right? Um, and and then there's this other layer of the kind of health and wellness component. So I have some clients that we are working on, how they can eat better and sleep better and, feel better in their body and have more energy and, get them out of kind of like a burnout or on track to burnout. And then I have some clients that are in transition in their careers, and we're looking at, how to get them to level up to where they want to be, whether they're looking to move jobs or, move within their company, or if they're an artist looking to get, kind of to the next level. And so the way that I have figured out for me that works for now, as you said, it's always shape shifting, is that I work with people for time periods, basically. So, I have some people that I'll work with for 6 weeks at a time. And usually what happens is they say, can we do another 6 weeks? Right. And we'll kind of just re up whatever program we just did. Or I have most of my clients are 6 months. So I'll be working with someone for 6 months. We meet biweekly. All my clients have, access to me between sessions, because not most of the work that happens when I'm curious to know if anyone wants to raise their hand in the chat, how many people do or have worked with a coach. But a lot of the work happens between sessions, like
Yeah.
we might drudge up some stuff, and I'm very goal oriented with my sessions. So I always ask my clients, to bring what they want to work on, and it's my job to make sure we get towards a solution by the end of that. And then I give them homework and they have something to work on. But and there's accountability built in and things like that. But whether it's, eating better, whatever that means to somebody, or changing something with their job or their business, um it's kind of all the same work. It's just meeting people where they are, and me asking the questions of them to help them find the answer. Like I always describe my form of coaching as, you're trying to find something, it's in your house. I'm going to go with you. We're going to try to find it together. And my job is to shine the light around in all the corners of where it might be.
I love
I'm
that.
seeing a lot of cool things in the chat. Yes,
I,
coaches need coaches too. I have a coach.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that. What I say to artists is sort of similar is like, you're going to come to my house with your bag of puzzle pieces and you're going to dump all your puzzle pieces all over my coffee table. And my team and I are going to like help you put the puzzle together. We're going to do the edges. We're going to put all the yellow ones and the green ones and the pink ones and and we're going to put it together. And it's going to take time to put the puzzle pieces together.
Yeah.
It's not lateral. It's like, you might, ooh, I got a little, ooh, that was cool. And then you go over here, it's not, it's never, it never looks the way you think it's going to. So, yeah.
No, it's not a linear process. Not
Mm,
very few things are.
true, true.
It's but that's part of the process is also part of the, especially in this industry, and especially in what we're talking about in terms of like finding joy, creating joy, figuring out how to take care of ourselves so that we can do the thing.
Yeah,
It's not ever even just like being happy or getting healthy. These things are not destinations, and it's all about the process. It's all about what we're doing and how we change it and what feels good today and what works right now, and you know trying out this thing, right? Oh, I thought I'm sure that puzzle piece was I'm sure that place was where to put it, and it's like, no, it wasn't.
right.
But you don't know
Totally.
until you try it, right?
That's true. And then sometimes you think you've got a surefire thing, a sure win. I mean, if the pandemic taught us anything, it's that like nothing is promised and things can change on a dime and then you have to adapt. And I think we don't talk enough about the PTSD that still lingers in the entertainment space from the pandemic and how what's really interesting is I'm still working with a lot of musicians that are coming to me saying, well, when the pandemic happened, I finally had time to record that album or make that music that I hadn't
Yeah.
thought of making. And very few of us just like went right back to like life as it used to be. I think that's another thing to be really sensitive about. It's like people are still experiencing different levels of returning to their life before.
Yeah.
And it's impossible to. Booking agencies have gone out of business and small venues have closed. And especially for the independent sector, which is the place I work in, there has been a lot of upheaval and upset. I mean, that's why Neva got invented during that time. And
Yeah.
there's so many examples of how we all need to adapt to this new world. And I think also there's another thing that we don't recognize enough, back to my sort of passion about bonding and why bonding and not being lonely is so key is we don't want to go back to, many of us don't want to go back to the sort of old way of doing music. I do not want
Mhm.
to go down to the Mercury Lounge at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday night and hold a freezing cold, shitty Pinot Grigio because I don't drink anymore. Like just
Why are you
that.
ordering Pinot Grigio at Mercury Lounge?
I
That's
mean,
the
I'm just
question.
saying, like, none of us want to go and like, I mean, I did it for a client the other night. I was like deep in New Jersey in a bar and there was like fried food and bad booze and it was cold and it was dark and it was late. And I was like, does anybody like this? I think people are looking for an elevated experience now. People are looking for like something more. That's why I think also movie theaters are going out of business because like everybody's like, okay, the stale $20 popcorn and
Right.
I've got a
And I can
really
sit on my couch and
yeah,
watch it at home, and
I
yeah.
with my cozy PJs and you can buy a giant TV screen for $400. Like there's no reason to,
Well,
be
there is a reason, and
yeah,
that reason is community, and that reason is connection. And I think that's the disconnect, right? Of like we're more and more we're isolating ourselves
yeah.
because it's cozy and convenient and comfortable. And also, and that's kind of almost sometimes at the expense of that connection.
But there's that other factor to this, which is like, okay, musicians. So I had a client who hired us, she did a big retainer with us, and she's wonderful. And we were looking at who she wants to serve. She's in her second act. She's a mother of teenagers. She's an older woman. She's a great musician, but she spent the last several years, most of her extra energy outside of her day job has been raising her kids. And finally, she's like coming back out as a musician. And she said to me, I just need to get 20 more people at each one of my gigs. And I went and I looked at her gigs and I'm like, okay, you're playing breweries, you're playing pubs. And then I went and looked at some of the YouTube footage and like people are like having craft beer and shouting over her. And she's basically background music doing cover gigs at these bars. And I said to her, like, do you really need 20 more people like in a room shouting over their beer? Because that doesn't seem like a great goal to have. I get it. We want more people to hear your music, but right now you're not set up for the best possible scenario. And she and I came up with something she called the creative reset. She got with four other women who are about her age and doing interesting, cool things. They found a restaurant that on a Sunday had like a very quiet brunch or a Saturday, and they each invited 10 people. And the restaurant said that they would pay for the brunch. All the ladies had to do would be pay if they wanted open bar or coffee. They sold this event out because it only took each of them bringing 10. And then each one of the women presented what they do and who they are. And they had like a group creative reset. And
So
now
cool.
she doesn't just have this one event. They're going to do a second creative reset and they're going to like find another venue and find another group. And now it becomes like a community of people that are doubling down and interested
Yeah.
instead of like another night at a loud craft beer pub.
Right.
So
Oh, I love that.
this is the kind of thinking. It's like, how can we collaborate? How can we do it differently? How can we connect? And that's been a great joy to do these little micro events with artists and go, okay, like how could it be different? And then how can you bring your fans along for a completely different kind of journey and the kind of journey that everybody is craving post-pandemic, which is like
Yeah,
not the same as
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that goes back to what you were saying about creating your own joy, right? It's until you can find the people that are doing something that fits what you want, you sometimes do have to create it yourself. And I love that. I love that idea so much because that just is such a good example of people building something that suits what they want and then finding the other people that also want that. There's so many, there's like I work with an artist, Jocelyn McKenzie, and we're always talking about like where can she play that's not just like Julianne just said, like not every musician should be playing bars, right? Like
No.
it for so many reasons, but not everybody wants to go to a bar to see music either. They want to see music and they don't necessarily want it. There's so many cool, like Julianne mentioned house concerts, like there's uh there's Jocelyn played, I think it was last year, and I don't know if it's still, I hope they do it again. I think it's called The Picnic, and it's like a sensory friendly event. It's outside. It's they have like blankets and snacks and it's not too loud and it's just there's all these kind of really interesting events popping up that are not what you would consider a typical, music event at a bar, loud, people that are not paying attention, even though they came there for the music and they're still not paying attention, right? And then there's
Yeah.
someone behind you talking and you're trying to see that, and it's just, there's a place for that, I think, obviously. And there's nothing more magical than being at a, club and singing along to the song next to someone you don't know. That's an amazing experience, right? And I don't think anything can take that away. But I think there's so many, like you were saying, this creative reset. What a cool way to have what you want and be able to present what you want as an artist, but with people that also want the same kind of thing.
Yeah. And she
I
had
love it.
50 people on the edge of their seat. Oh, she only played for 15 minutes as opposed to like a 2 hour set of cover songs, but like 15 minutes of like full attention. And so that's the kind of thing. And Miriam just made a really, really poignant point in the chat, which is we have this unification of first and second spaces, home and office. And so that definitely has like mixed things up for sure. Um,
Yeah, I know.
and I agree with Chris too. Like being overly inclusive has killed art, and some things should be exclusive and stylized for a special audience, not rejective,
Mhm.
but like again,
Curated.
curated. And that I, I watched the internet break 2 summers ago when Miss Taylor Swift went on world tour, mostly because most of my friends have teenage kids and they were flying here, there, and everywhere to enjoy that. But there was a takeaway in that. And I don't always like to sort of cite the biggest artists on planet Earth. But I think you could take a page out of the Taylor book, which was like she created something that was special and unique and obviously rare and hard to get. And it was much easier to get tickets in somehow Austria and London than it was to get tickets in our country, which says a lot about our broken ticket system. However, it turned into family vacations and families
Right.
going places together to have this experience. And one of my best friends brought two of his kids to Austria, and unfortunately, that was where the concert got canceled. And there were like all these Americans that had flown, and they still had an incredible time. They met each other on the streets, and they did the friendship bracelets, and there were pop-ups and dance
Oh, that's
parties,
so
and
cool.
like everybody still ended up having a great time. But again, like the lesson and the takeaway there was like, how can it be inclusive and fun and a real experience?
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
and I think that's like the culture that is inadvertently built around music, right? When you love an artist, um, and you go see them, and I mean, this somebody I saw in the Q&A, somebody brought up AI. Like, well, we're not even gonna go there, but that's not happening with AI music, right? That you this
right.
so this is the kind of special thing, whether it's an artist that you know and no one else does, and they're your special artist, and when you go see them or you go to a brunch that they curated and you see your friends that go to that, that is a special thing. When you or if you go to a concert that is a world renowned artist, and you immediately have a kinship, or even if you meet somebody and you have the same shirt, you have the artist, it's just an instantly connecting thing. And there's all these different, and that's what I think is so special about music too. I know this is sort of a kind of obvious, but I think sometimes we get away from it when we work in music. And it's funny because now we're kind of working on op- opposite but totally related ends of the music industry, kind of like where I joke that I used to work in the music industry and now I work on the music industry. But
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
but that's the thing, is that there's pieces for all of it, and there's the music itself. We tend to forget, working in it and on it and with it, that there's all these facets of it, and it goes so much further beyond the actual songs, which are already so rich and provide the kind of entryway into falling in love with an artist, falling in love with an album, going to see them on tour, buying the merch, sharing them with a friend, connecting with somebody because they also love that. Like I was just in when I was at this conference, a friend and I discovered this artist together. She saw him and then she was like, "You got to come." And now we're both listening to him. And like, I didn't know about him before I got there. There's thousands of artists playing, but
Yeah.
I think we have to hang on to that piece of it. And it
Yeah.
always comes back to the connection, whether you're an artist to the fan or fan to fan or just human to human.
Mhm.
That's never going to change.
And that's Seth Godin one-on-one, 101 marketing. Seth Godin 101 marketing is like be remarkable. Your
Yep.
friend saw something, remarked on it because it was remarkable and brought you along for the journey. Like that is what we foster at my agency. That is what we do with our clients. It's like, okay, like it can't just be the same friends and family, 20 people showing up. There has to be that remarkable
Yeah.
aspect to
What's
it.
the thing? And everyone's like, "Oh, what's the hook? What's the hook?" And it's like, it's not a hook. It's just something special. It's just
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
it's just this thing that you can't, and you're just like, I just want more of it, right? It's this thing when you have a connection with a friend or somebody, and you're just like, oh, I'm so glad to see you. It's like, that's
That's the good
irreplaceable.
stuff. Yeah, that's
That's the good stuff.
irreplaceable. So, If anyone has a question for me or for Marnie, we are coming to the last 10 minutes. We would love um to take a question or two if you've got one. Andrea, good point. Finding your tribe is like falling in
Yeah,
love. It truly, truly is.
that's really beautiful. And it feels like that. And we need that feeling. I mean, there's like neurochemicals involved in that are important for our well-being. So fall in love
So
with stuff.
fall in love with stuff. So
Fall in love with yourself.
we were sort of chatting when we were chatting about all of this, like how do we want it to be? We did kind of come away with primary action. Like do we want to leave you with today? And we both agreed on the same thing, which is we've already said it, but inject daily joy into life as a form of resistance, as a form, as an antidote to the negative 24-hour news cycle. I mean, this is going to sound insane. I just ordered like a new coffee machine because like that's like a 15-minute moment of joy in my life. And I've got this machine that's like grinding and sounds awful. Like it's it's not rocket science. It's like this is going to be something that will elevate every day, just a little ritual. So that, and then a secondary action might be to get off the phone and create a small mastermind group. Maybe it's like two people or four people, people that you can really talk to. And I mean, yeah, it could be a WhatsApp group or a text messaging group, but wouldn't it feel better if like once a month, and this is a practice that I have a small community of people. They're not all music people. They're just women in my life. We get together once a month. We sit in a room. We bring wine. We bring good snacks or coffee, tea, whatever anyone's thing is. And we have a really nice evening together and we discuss a topic. And we get each other unstuck all the time by just talking through a topic. And we agree on what the topic's going to be. And it's not a book club. You don't have to have an assignment like, okay, read this thing. It's just like, let's get in a room. Let's talk about toxicity in the workplace, or let's talk about, how can we bring more joy, or let's talk about
Yeah.
whatever it's going to be. And so we thought that would be something we would want to leave you with is acts of joy and masterminding, camaraderie,
Yeah. Connection. Yeah.
connection.
And what can that what and challenge yourself to think about what that could look like, because I think we have an idea of what connection could look like, or like you said, is it a WhatsApp group, is it getting together? But I keep coming back to what you were saying about that artist that created that brunch concert and having other people share, like what an out of the box thing to think about of how what a show could be like, right? So what could a an activity with some friends look like, or who would you not think to connect in your life, right? Like, oh yeah, these two people should know each other, and I don't know why they don't, or they're not. I also want to say, for those of us in the industry, it's so important to have friends that are not in the industry,
Yes.
to
Yes.
because
Yes.
we can be in a little bubble. um
That thing that you just said, I want to just grab onto it because it's so good. This idea of like, I don't know, I read a book of like how to be successful years and years and years ago. And this man had this concept of like connect people who, take the time to like just send an email connection or, like, hey, here's someone who I thought you'd really, really love to meet and just do it without a quid pro quo on the other side of it. Just like,
yeah.
I think you guys will like each other because you both love chartreuse. I don't know, whatever the reason is. You both have
Right.
a 21-year-old cat. You both live in Brooklyn.
Ariel has a 21-year-old cat.
I do. I have a
Anybody
21-year-old
else?
cat. Does anyone have a 21-year-old cat? I think she's the oldest cat in the business. Um, but the idea is
Yeah.
just to do that out of the kindness of, the other thing I love doing, and I usually do it in January because we're at the top of a new year, is like just having phone calls with people with no agenda. Like I just
Yeah.
want to check in.
Yeah.
What a thing to do. Like Rich
What's
material.
your question that you ask people to check in that's not like a general how are you? Like, do you have a question that you ask people?
Yeah, I do. It's what's bringing you joy these days.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
I live in New York City. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? That's the
Right.
first thing anyone asks all the time. And I don't know, when I moved from New York City to Colorado in my 20s, nobody asked, what do you do? Nobody. I was like,
Right.
oh, I was like, but this is so strange. I do not know how to behave. People started asking me, how many days? How many days?
Yeah.
Anyone in the chat do you know what the hell I'm talking about? I did not know what they were talking about. How many days? It took me like two cocktail parties to figure out how many days meant how many days did you ski this season? That was the thing that people wanted to talk about in Colorado. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that is like a whole other lens to see the entire world through. Something
Yeah.
that's
It's a
exhilarating,
filter.
yes, and fun.
Yeah.
And like, screw what you do. Like, tell me about the
Like,
back rolls
yeah,
and the powder and the getting on that first chairlift and um that.
exactly. The
Yeah.
first time someone asked me, what do you do for fun? It was not New York. It was in California. And
Yes.
I did not, I didn't know what to do with, I didn't know what I did for fun because I ran a business and everything I could think of had to do with work. And I was like, what do I do for fun? It really, I mean, I realized I was burnt out, but also I realized like I need to do some things for fun. And there's, we all have different reasons why we either, I could talk about that for hours. I mean, this is kind of goes back to the five archetype stuff, but we all have different ways that we kind of like show up in these. Fun isn't always on the top of the list for everyone. And so
That's true.
joy being, maybe a funnel for fun, kind of is the result of fun, maybe, if you will, is so important to just kind of make sure that we're finding, creating, keeping track of, reminding ourselves,
Yeah.
and all that connection.
Yeah. So I did pop our LinkedIn in the chat as we were going. Please find me. Please find Marni. Please connect. We would absolutely love to get to know you a little bit more. I see lots of old friends here in the chat. Thanks for being here, everybody. It was really, really nice to just share a conversation with one of my best friends in front of 75 people. Thanks for the opportunity, Tom. That was great.
Hey,
Thank
you know
you.
what
That was
brought me
really
joy
fun.
today? This. Cannot thank you enough. And the thing that I'm so pleased, as I promised the audience at the front side that they would leave here more inspired and more positive than they arrived. Uh-huh. Great job, ladies. I so
Amazing.
appreciate you and what you do for not just the music industry, but just frankly humanity. Um, Go forth and continue doing it. To the audience, I always sign off with the same words, and that is be nice to each other. And that means more today than maybe in a long time. Got a lot of crazy shit going on in this world right now. So stay safe and warm and be nice to each other. We'll see you soon.